there, and welcome to today's web session on what's new with Adaptive Insights. My name is Megan Addy, and I'm a senior consultant with Armanino. I'm going to take you through some exciting new features and enhancements recently released. This video will focus on adaptive planning updates which are now available to all customers, including the new Java applet-free user interfaces on formula builders and administration screens, and modeled sheet enhancements. Adaptive has completed all the design work necessary for the elimination of all Java applets throughout the system, so many of the screens you're familiar with may have a new look and feel. And finally, with the removal of all Java applets, Adaptive products are now supported in all browsers. Yes, that means Google Chrome browser is now supported. Yay! The first update we are going to review is the Modeled Sheet Builder. The sheet summary is the first page you will see after creating a new sheet name and account code prefix, or when you are editing an existing sheet. The first two links, Modeled Accounts and Columns and Levels, will always be visible here. However, the additional components, assumptions, monthly lookups, and spread lookup tables will only be visible if they are in use on the sheet. The basic functionality remains the same. However, this interface will take a bit of getting used to in application. If we click on Columns and Levels from the previous slide, we are brought to a new view utilizing a three-pane design as seen here. It is now row-based instead of column-based to make better use of the screen. Additionally, it now allows up to 200 columns of sheet elements, is search-enabled to better find those elements, and allows for bulk editing of common elements. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll find access to the sheet's elements for data entry columns, your dimensions, and display columns. You can jump through by clicking Back to Elements or hovering over the three-bar menu icon in the upper right-hand corner. Adding elements remains simple as they are simply dragged and dropped to the center pane where the order in which they appear determines the column display in the sheet. Click on the little wheel at the top of the sheet to access the sheet's properties, which remain unchanged except for sheet availability, as we will see next. In this window, you will see tabs for details, security, and settings, which should be somewhat familiar from the previous interface. Back on the main screen, you can see now when you select levels that your selection options are available in the right-hand pane, instead of in the Properties window we reviewed in the last slide. If we look at a dimension, we can see the general properties in the right-hand pane, including checkboxes for read-only and edit dimension on sheet, as well as dimension availability. If we scroll down, we can also see any existing spread or monthly lookup tables. We can add a new lookup by clicking on one of the green plus signs, then save the sheet to allow for editing of the new lookup, which we'll discuss next. Once saved, if you click on the little pencil icon, it will open the table in a new window to allow for editing in a standard type sheet as seen here, instead of the small pop-up chart you're accustomed. These lookups can also be accessed from the sheet summary page we saw at the beginning. If you only need to edit the lookup settings, you can click on the little wheel icon to change the name, display type, and decimal places. Other elements are added or edited in a similar fashion using the right-hand pane and properties included there. Access to modeled accounts is available directly from time span and initial balance elements, as well as the first sheet summary page. Note that modeled accounts are now only accessible through their respective sheets and no longer available on the administration page where the other account types live. You have likely already noticed previous changes to the Manage Your Organization structure and Manage Your General Ledger account screens. A new pane to set all level and account details in one place along the right-hand side of the screen is now rolling out to all other account types, modeled, cube, assumptions, metrics, and custom accounts. An example of a new modeled account administration page can be seen here. Formulas can be entered directly in the account administration right-hand pane, or click on the Formula Assistant link. Recently, you might have also noticed the updated look of your Formula Assistant if you've used it on a standard sheet. The functionality remains the same, so again, this is just an updated look and feel. This same formula builder can now be seen in the Metric Account Administration pane as well as on shared formulas. Speaking of shared formulas, this page also has a new look as seen here. You can find your account in the drop-down or using the search bar. Your levels will be seen in the left-hand pane, while you can set formulas, preserve, and remove user edits in the right-hand pane. Note that you will be able to toggle back to Classic View by hitting the button at the top of the page to return to the old interface. This will be available for the next few months as users grow accustomed to the new page layout. However, you must enable Java to utilize the Classic View. Remember, Classic View will only be available until the next software update in a few months' time. Next, we are going to look at updates to the Cube Sheet Builder, though many of the changes are the same as those we've already reviewed. Once a sheet name and account prefix has been selected, we are brought to a new sheet summary page as seen here. This is the new Cube account maintenance page, and while the functionality remains the same, you can see it does look quite different. On the toolbar, we see new icons for standard, calculated, assumption, or metric accounts. If GL or custom accounts have been created for the Cube Sheet data entry, those can be found using the fifth icon. The sixth icon is to create a new group. Beneath the toolbar is the account listing currently available in the sheet. The individual account details can be reviewed and edited in the right-hand pane. If we click on Dimensions, Attributes, and Levels from the Sheet Summary page, we will see a familiar-looking three-pane screen. Here, dimensions and attributes can be dropped into the middle design pane, and cube accounts and levels can be further defined. Clicking on the elements will change the right-hand pane to properties specific to the element selected. Sheet properties are also available by clicking the little wheel at the top of the middle pane. Finally, you can access sheet restrictions from the Sheet Summary page. This interface has already been in use and might be familiar to you. The same functionality applies as with the previous interface, and again, Classic View is available here for a limited time while you acclimate. Moving on to report builders, let's take a look at matrix reports. The basic functionality for building reports remains the same. However, we can see here the design screen does look much different. Users will select elements from the left pane and drop them on the design pane in much the same way as before. The major difference is that rows will have a tiered setup for additional elements instead of the old side-by-side design. For example, here we have two elements on the rows, first an expense account grouping and then org levels. You can see there is now a tiered display showing the first and second element. In columns, you can see a time grouping. Also, optional filters and parameters are now prominent at the top of the builder, different from the old view. Seen here, version is used in the filter and also plugged in for use as a parameter. Finally, when enabled, you will still see repeating reports at the bottom. Parameter setup still includes the same options, but the window display is updated. Notice above you can change the parameter name in the label box or check for prompt before viewing and edit your available choices. Design elements are still available but now sit at the bottom of the left pane as icon buttons. We see them here including New Segment, Blank Space, and Custom Header. Drag and drop to the grid as usual. We still have the same report properties available as before, including Display, Style, Conditional Formatting, Numbers, Print Parameters, and Charts, but they are now located on individual tabs as seen here. Note that you can click on Classic Report Builder if you would like to toggle back and forth while you're getting accustomed to this new interface. Element properties are now available through a new icon at the top where you can define the individual elements added to the design screen. Note that column element display settings override the report settings, while row element display settings will override the column settings. Now let's take a look at modeled reports. Modeled reports now utilize a two-pane builder where elements can be dropped onto the design screen in a similar fashion to the previous builder. A total row will appear as a selection option if the column can actually be totaled. A similar setup is now available in the transaction report builder as well. There is also an updated display for export level and account mappings. If desired, you can now click the Use Import Name button to populate the external export name column with the imported name, or specific names can be entered on a one-by-one basis. In addition to the new look, modeled sheets have some helpful new features available as well. First, there is the ability to do a multi-column sort. Where you were able to sort the sheet for a single column in the past, you can now sort on up to 3 columns at a time. You just click on the top of the columns in the order which you want them sorted. You can see here I first sorted state of residence and then by title. Also, filtering is now available through the display options on the modeled sheets. You will see a second tab called Filter, where you can select and apply filtering settings to your sheets. I know these two features are going to make some really happy users. So that's it for today. These exciting new tools and enhancements are live now, so you can start using them immediately. I have also released a companion video covering release updates to Excel Interface for Planning, Discovery, and Office Connect, so check that one out too if you use those tools. And please join me in future webcasts discussing new features and helpful hints to better optimize your user experience of Adaptive Insights. As always, feel free to reach out to me or anyone on my team with additional questions. I hope you've enjoyed these few minutes of power learning, and have a wonderful day.